Hello, we are live, everybody. Welcome to the Funny Shrink podcast. I am Mike Cateo. We are having tons of technical difficulties. This is my lovely co-host, Frank King. Frank and I got to meet over the weekend, and
Yeah.
he brought he brought me dinner 3 times, and I had to ask him if he wanted me to put out because I've never had a gentleman caller be so nice to me before, not expect return. And I've had a lot of gentleman callers. I'm just saying.
True. My pleasure, Mike. It was fun down. It was Orlando, the American Association of Suicidology. We got to be on a panel together and talk about the power of storytelling in mental health.
It was amazing. I had a lot of fun. Who knew you could have that much fun at a suicide conference?
I know. Yeah. Got up on stage. I killed. Uh,
I, I was just gonna tell the folks at home you killed.
yeah, or died. It was a suicide conference.
Isn't it funny? They're both stand-up terms.
Yeah, George Carlin had a bit about that. Stand-up comedy is a brutal business. You either kill or
Oh,
you
you
die.
die. I know. I love that. I love that bit. So we have an amazing guest today. You've met her before, right, Frank?
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about her.
She tends when she's on in the waiting room on StreamYard. It was really cute. She's actually singing. I don't know if the song is coming through her headphones, but you could see her, like she was Linda Ronstadt in studio singing. No, I believe if I'm not mistaken, I did a podcast with Kelly J. We had a good time. We talked about all sorts of things, mental health, of course, and safety, as a workplace health and safety issue. And I just thought she'd be a good guest for this show.
She's a I got to speak to her while we were waiting for you, and then my internet died and I couldn't get back on, and now my internet's working. When you believe it?
Of
Jesus.
course.
Of course, the internet gods are out to get me. Um so let's she's lovely. I really enjoyed talking to her. She has a lot going for her. Let's bring her into the studio.
Yay, Kelly J.
Figure out how to do that from here. Yes, we can do it. We are adding her to the stream. Hey,
Hi,
Oh my God,
everybody. Hi,
they did.
Frank. Hi,
Well done.
Mike.
hi. What's going on?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm laughing. Yeah, we did have some internet technical difficulties, which I find is just normal these days when we're doing podcasts and live streams. But I have to let you know, you guys were talking about suicide and killing a joke and dying and, all the, that the different metaphors. And I got an email, I got a text message from Mike that said my Wi-Fi died. And I saw wife and I'm like, what?
Oh,
I literally was like, what do I say? And my mind just shut down. And I was like, what? And I read it 3 times. I'm like, oh, it says Wi-Fi because it said W-I-F-I, which is a joke from a place I worked, a telephone company. There was a lady who called her Wi-Fi Wi-Fi. She said, she'd say my Wi-Fi's broken. But I was just like, it took me a second. I was like, oh my gosh.
For my friends and family who are listening, Jeanette is alive.
I think
Wife is out working. She did not die. Kelly is spreading rumors.
well,
But
well, and I just listened to one of your past shows where it was talking about your wife and marriage and all these different things. And I like, so I felt connected to her and all of you. And all of a sudden I get this message. And I'm like, what just happened? Yeah. His Wi-Fi. And so that's fixable. We like it. Here we are. Yeah.
yeah, my Wi-Fi came back to life.
Yes.
My
Thank
wife
God.
came back to life. She is a zombie now.
Ooh, yeah. That was comedy, right? I tried. I didn't know.
you did a great
That-
job.
Yeah.
So you do a 90-day transformation?
Yeah, I've done a 90-day transformations. I actually call when I wrote my book, Internal Journeys, a spiritual transformation, which is penned through internal narcissists, which is my medium that I work with, my inner self. I call that one my unauthorized 90-day transformation. So it is a book that I literally walked my mind out of its darkest recesses of self, where I was trapped through different coping mechanisms and pain growing up, and just this whole story that I had embedded who I was. I walked myself out of it in 90 days. I wrote one chapter, one blog a week, and literally came through out the other side going, oh, it's a whole new world. I was blind, but now I could see.
That's amazing. So what did you learn in that 90 days?
I learned who I was. I learned how to love myself through my fear and pain. I learned how to, I learned to really see myself. It's interesting because I was working with my higher self, as I call it, or spirit, and I was ready, and I studied words and thought and people and relationships and just, mental health, spiritual health my whole life. And I was ready. I asked myself the right question. I realized that I was the only constant in my life. So I created everything. Everything fell on me. So the book actually starts with chapter 1, and it's grow in. It says, I decided to grow in, not up. And so we take an internal journey, and we're going to go in and meet ourselves through the memory markers of our life that are showing up as points of contention that can be loved through. And when we learn to love ourselves for who we are as we came in that moment, that's the only way that we can choose to live above the mind and change ourselves or be comfortable with who we are so we can be free.
That sounds amazing.
It is. It is. I've guided many people. I work with master students that followed the same journey I did. I work with people one-on-one that just are curious about self-love. If we learn to, we have to, the reason I like being on the show is we have to learn to laugh at ourselves. Like, we're pretty funny creatures. And when we start to not take ourselves so seriously, we let go of that pain or that fear that's trying to keep us trapped in judgment. But when we can laugh, I got spiritual chills. When we can laugh at ourselves, we just let that go. We're like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course I did that because, I was doing this. That makes sense. I used to laugh at people because they'd say, oh my gosh, I can't believe she did that or he did that because they were drunk. I'm like, that makes total sense that they did that. They were drunk. Like, you know what I mean? Like, normal people don't do things like that.
I built a whole life out of laughing at myself. So
yeah. It's just that people, I can't believe they did it. How can you not believe that happened? This person was impaired.
So I seamlessly, I don't know how seamlessly, shifted back to my computer. Hopefully.
I like it. That was seamless. I didn't notice.
That was seamless,
Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully my internet doesn't die again. Fingers crossed. So what do spiritual goosebumps feel like?
It's interesting because what happens for me and many people I speak to is it's like you get these like chills or like this feeling goes through your body, and really what it's called is it's like your soul strands assimilating to like those crystals in your body, or that connection. Your truth hears something that resonates with your highest good, and it really upgrades and allows you to know you're speaking in your truth. When I'm working with clients, we'll both do that. Ooh, I got spiritual chills, or people call them goosebumps, or some kind of feeling like you feel it go through you. And sometimes you get them through your head, your back, your spine, your legs, or through your whole body. And you know that your higher self, your cellular structure, right, is listening, and it's hearing you, and it's changing, it's upgrading. It knows that you're on the right path to healing.
Actually, I get those when I create a good tagline.
What?
Chills like that. I get the when I write a great, punchline, tagline, slogan.
Yeah. Chill like that.
Well, a good tagline would not be "It runs right through you," because that brought up something else in my mind.
I have nothing for that. Yeah, you're right.
I have something,
you're
Imodium.
Right. You have Imodium. Yeah. Well, it's life runs through you. It's like it's a journey. We're connected to everyone, and and everyone is so beautiful. And when we learn to not judge ourselves, we don't judge others. And that's the only reason people, I believe, judge each other. It's because we haven't learned not to judge ourselves. We can only treat others as we treat ourselves. And so if we are out running around being cruel or mean or judging others, we've really got some inner work to do. And once we do it, then we're not unhappy. And then it's really a point in Q. Like if we are happy, if we're centered, then we act that way. We treat the others that way. It's the golden rule in reverse, right? We can only treat people as if we treat ourselves.
True. I bought Mike dinner 3 times last week, and he thought I wanted him to put out.
Well, Mike's frozen, I think, too. But I like how he did that. He was like a little bit scared.
Well, like Kelly, I did it just to be kind. I didn't do it.
Yeah, I know. You are very kind. You are very kind. Yeah,
That's just you and me. We took over the show. Bloodless coup.
We did take over the show. Well, we talked about it too when you were on my show. About when we start to really know who we are, then we can use who we are to our benefit instead of our detriment.
Yeah, I got it in LinkedIn something today. Some guy saying I've got a great idea, business idea, blah blah blah, and January 1st, 2018, I decided, the most successful people I know do one thing, just one thing, and they do it extremely well. That's what I'm going to do. No side hustles. So I wrote back, I'm sure it's a great opportunity, but I don't do side hustles.
Yeah. It's important for us to stick to what we know and have faith in it. Like you said on my show, you did your TED Talk years and years ago, and now everyone's out there, bringing it to the forefront. And you're like, I spoke about that 4 or 5 years ago, and that's how it happened. And you're still doing that. So what happened is now that it's in the forefront, everyone's going to look at you, and now your time to shine is bright because you stuck to your truth and lived it out.
Yeah, and I must tell you, my wife has always believed in that. Even when I didn't, I would say, I'm going to get a real job. She goes, no, you're not. You're going to follow your gift.
Yes. Yeah, it's important.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Mike.
I just caught that little snippet, but I was like, I think
Are you following your path, Mike?
my path to secure internet connection.
Is that a real thing?
No.
Yeah.
I feel like it's funny, before the podcast today, I called Frank in a panic because I feel like I'm not following what I want to be doing. So I'm always adjacent to that road, though. I've never veered far enough to the road outside that road to feel like I'm lost. I need to take a step to the side to get back on.
Right. Yeah.
That's what people like my wife and Frank and good friends who believe in the process give me, is that goal to stay on path.
We're grateful when we have those people in our lives that remind us who we are. Sometimes we can't see ourselves when we're out there doing it by ourselves, right? We haven't got the feedback and we're still in that planning session. It takes about 10 years, really. I didn't believe that when I first, started my path, and I knew where I was going, but I didn't know how I'd get there. And one of the masters I worked with, he said it took him 10 years to perfect his process. And I was so stuck in pride and ego back then. I was like, 10 years. And I laughed. I wrote back to him, apologized later. I'm like, you probably knew that I was like, she'll get it one day. And I'm thinking 10 years, you can do it faster than 10 years. But time moves slow down here on planet Earth. And it takes a while for us to not give up on ourselves and to keep doing what we know is our calling. And then someday we show up and people are like, oh, they're an overnight sensation. No, there's no overnight.
Right. We see that a lot in stand-up, like people who work and work and work, they get their big break and it seems overnight, but they don't know what has gone into getting that big break.
Yeah. There very rarely is. Even the actors and actresses, if you look, you start to see in time, you look back and you're like, you see them when they're kids in movies. All the big actresses and actresses have been in movies for a long time. And they were in there with a lot of other people. And some of them really, that was their calling and they went to the big time. Others are great actors, but for some reason, we know there's a lot of politics, so we won't get into that, but it takes time.
Right. I was watching, Steve Urkel from Family Matters. It popped.
Yes.
So I was flipping through the channels this morning and it was on. I'm like, let's see what's going on. And I saw the little girl, Judy, who was there one season and then wasn't. And so I started Googling her. I'm like, what happened to Judy? And it turns out they just let her go without writing her out of the script. They just, one episode she's there, the next episode she's not.
Just gone. She's gone. I thought you were going to talk about his new cannabis industry called Purple Urkel. I just read about that on CNN.
Oh, that sounds so much better though, because
yeah.
She got into porn and
something.
Yeah, Step Family Matters. I've seen that porn.
So is Urkel has a weed line?
Yes, he does. I was lucky enough to see that on CNN.
Awesome. That makes me smile.
It's called Purple Urkel.
I've been in recovery for 13, 14 years. If I was not, I would try that.
That name recognition, I'm sure a lot of people will. You never know when your big break's coming, right?
Purple, here it comes.
Yeah, my big year was 89. It's been downhill since that.
Deo with Cateo. That's gonna be my.
I never really was a cannabis smoker, so it put me to sleep. It put me to sleep, so I liked the other end of that. I was more the up girl.
Well, they're actually, my wife actually microdoses, and there are strains that are actually energizing.
Oh, are there? Interesting. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're the sativa and I think what the other one's called, but one's a kind of an upper, gets you not she microdoses, so it doesn't get her high, it just gets her sharp and awake. And then there's another one for relaxing.
Okay, that makes sense. Just kind of like medication, right? They all have their different purposes to help people figure out how they work best.
And they're produce, so it's, you have to, each time you get a new strain, it's like produce. Every tomato doesn't taste the same, so you have to work with the dosing. But anyway, and I enjoy it. It's just like a bump, like a cup of coffee.
I'm sorry, come again?
I said like a bump, like a cup of coffee.
Yeah. It'll pick you up and go.
And it's making a ton of tax revenue for the state.
Yeah, then they could spend more money on mental health awareness.
Well, some of the money does go for mental health in Oregon.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, it should.
So in the title of your book, Internal Narcissist?
The book was, when I originally started my project, Internal Narcissist was given to me in a dream as a name. And I woke up in the middle of a dream and was directed literally to buy a website in my dream called Internal Narcissist. And I did. And then I ended up tucking it away because I didn't know what to do with it. And when I started to get back to myself, I had lost all my creativity. I'd always written. I was a poet laureate in my family. I wrote poetry. I just loved writing and words. And I had, after my divorce, I had lost all that. And it was years and years and years. I just didn't do it. Denial and out just living what I thought was my best life. But it was just, I should have there's no such thing as should, but if I, and even at that, I mean, the work I did now, if I would have done it then, it would be a different life, but I had more victories and losses to go earn before I would get to the point to write this book, as I like to see it, and people to meet and things to do. And but internal narcissism is how I penned Walking My Mind Out of Darkness. It became the website and the project, learning to love ourselves so we could love others. And it's learning to love who we are on the inside, not what we look like on the outside, not aesthetics. The outside world is a moving, breathing target. It literally changes every day, and anything that we are can change drastically in a second. So if we take our aesthetics or our outward appearance as our truth or our resonance, like that's who we are, then we lose out on the most important gift, which is our connection to spirit, our breath, and our life, which is really animates what I call our human, breathing apparatus, and allows us to pivot and work here on planet Earth. And so once we free ourselves from fear and we work through that rebirth, that narcissist rebirth, we go down into the water, we bridge back up or resurrect, like, whoa, this is what life's about. It's about my connection to spirit, to God, your higher power, and yourself, and loving yourself so deeply for who you are that you just let go of what other people think of you. And you have to let go of what you thought of you. Like, you let go of everything because it's just an identity that doesn't work.
Actually, turn 64 pretty much. I don't care what anybody thinks. I know, I give an F, but I'm all out. So.
I think that's part of the joy of getting older. We really, I turned 51 this year, and, it's amazing when you just get past, there's 3 stages in life, and you get to the crone or to the elder stage, and you're just so relaxed. We've lived our life. We've grown through our genes and our craziness. And if we survive, we get to kick back and go, I made it.
Yeah.
Right?
I've had 2 aortic valve replacements, a double bypass, a heart attack, 3 stents, total 2 cars. I'm living on borrowed time, and I'm upside down on the mortgage.
Yeah. You made it.
Takes a licking, keeps on ticking.
I know that I did. Yeah. The abuse that, my mom laughs at me all the time. She's like, I don't know how you look so good from all the drugs and partying you used to do. And I just, blessed, I guess, or transformation work, but,
good genes.
Good genes. But when we play with those different nuances of life, we're lucky to be here. People don't want to think about it in that essence, but it's almost like Russian roulette, because we're young and we're invincible. We don't think we're going to die, but anytime you do drugs and mix them with alcohol or get in a car or do whatever, there's chances that you could hurt yourself or someone else.
Right.
And so making it through, it's amazing. People talk about how, kids are always trying to kill themselves, when they're learning to walk, and so adults kind of still are too. I think we're learning to walk asleep most of our life until, we luckily get a break, or we keep circling.
In some ways, I think drugs actually preserve our looks.
I don't know. Do they?
You look like you're 38. So
yeah. So I have to say, for me, that might be the cause. Yeah, I laugh because I hope that my family forgives me this, but I was at my grandfather's funeral, and someone came up to me, and they're just like, "You look so great. What have you been doing?" And in my mind, I'm thinking ecstasy and cocaine. And then, but what it comes out of my mind, is I've been working out and eating right. I'm just like, I don't know. It's just those 2 different realities. I'm like, these people have no clue. Just like, you look great. Thanks.
And they use cocaine as a pre-workout.
Yeah, it's just it was one of those things. I found that to be comedic. What do you think, Frank?
I would agree.
I didn't say it, so that's probably why it wasn't comedic. But inside, I was laughing, and I thought I was also like, it's kind of sad if you think about it. I'm like, but there's that fine line of when you do start partying and you do have a handle on things, and there's a chance where it can go too far, and and some people
Mhm.
don't make it, and life is a gift, and when we learn to laugh and be with who we are on our journey and not judging ourselves, but really learning to love and uplift ourselves, then we can get emotional freedom, and we can laugh. Like I can laugh at that. Like I can laugh at so many things and just go, yeah, that's what I did.
Oh yeah, I do the
And
same.
that's the beautiful message.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
If we don't laugh at ourselves,
Same
then
here.
we're gonna implode. We're gonna implode. Uh, and I think you guys know you're comedians.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
comedy is
yeah,
supposed tragedy plus time. And the longer you do comedy, the shorter the time between the tragedy and the joke. And when I had my heart attack, I was
exactly.
telling
And
telling jokes in the ambulance.
Were you? Yeah,
Yeah,
I bet
and
you
in the
were.
hospital.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
lying there in the little unit triage unit, in a great deal of pain. The nurse says, "Look, I got one question for you," and I said through my pain, "I'm married, but honey, I love the way you think." And then she said, "No, no, your full name's Frank Marshall King III. What do you like to be called?" Through the pain, I said, "Big Daddy."
And there you have it. But it's just
And when I go back to the hospital, to the heart unit, and see somebody from that morning, "Hey, Big Daddy, how's it
yeah, yeah.
low and to the left.
Lower
Um,
to the left.
hanging?"
You know what? It's important, for mental health is to find a way to laugh at the things that probably hurt ourselves and others. Laugh
mhm,
at I can laugh at how I was high and partying and mismanaging my pain for a long time because I made it. And but when we think of the flip side of how that pain, before we can be with it and laugh at it, really was a protection layer, and that it really hurt many other people that we weren't aware of. I like to share the story
right.
that I really didn't have an idea of the pain I was causing the people I loved. I really thought that nobody truly knew because I was keeping it all covered and in that I had it down. But who else knows you better than the people that you love? And when you have can't see past your own feet because you're stuck in the ego and you're stuck in your eye, um it's just a part of life. And everybody out there listening, I just want to tell you that that's natural for many of us, because that's how we come into the world. We look out and we look into the first eyes of our family and caretakers, and they're our truth. So they help build our first version of ourselves,
Mhm.
and they become everything. But it's interesting to know that and think about what I just said, and then think that we can hide something from them when they're actually looking at us firstly and teaching us. You think that they don't see you, but they see everything.
Right. Exactly. I think that's part of. I love that our messages are so aligned with each other, right down
Yeah.
to the use of your humor. Frank mentioned living on borrowed time. Was that you, Frank?
Yeah,
Or Kelly? Did you say you were living on borrowed time?
I did.
So when I was younger in my 20s, I went jumping. And I told my mother, and Kelly, probably don't know this. I was in a almost fatal car accident when I was 18 months old, and because of that, I have a physical disability. And my mother looked at me and straight face go, Michael, I wouldn't do that. I mean, you're already living on borrowed time. And I
Oh,
just started cracking up. Oh my God.
You're like,
That
but,
was
but, but
so
I'm not
funny to
supposed to bungee jump? I don't understand.
well,
I,
me.
and my mother, when I was in college, I wanted to join the skydiving club, and you had to pay $25 to jump out of the plane.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Mom, can I have $25 to go parachuting? And she says, I can get you killed for half that much money.
oh my goodness. Your mom's got that old time like mafia humor.
Oh yeah, a very
Yeah,
practical woman.
yeah.
Very practical.
Oh,
She's like, why am I paying
that's
$25 for
hilarious.
you to go up there?
Yeah, I took a
Yeah,
scuba,
it's interesting.
$12.50. I could do for $12.50.
I took a scuba diving class, and we had to have a checkoff dive, and my mother had to finance my trip to Florida with a group. And she goes, "Why are you going to Florida? What's a checkoff dive?" I says, "After the checkoff dive, I can buy air." And she goes, "Honey, I'll sell you all the air you need. Tell me how much you want." So
Your mom cracks me up.
yeah, she was very funny.
And that's
Your
what's
mom sounds
beautiful is our
hilarious.
lives, right? And if we learn to laugh at them, which obviously, our parents had to
Yeah,
learn to do a lot earlier than we did, hopefully, then life becomes
Right.
bearable. When we can't laugh at ourselves or make fun of things, or if we take everything so personally, we really miss out on breathing with ease. And I think that's the whole part of an internal journey. I talk to my clients a lot about it, and I share it when I'm teaching, is that all we really want is to find a restful moment, that perfect heartbeat that we can be content in. And that doesn't happen if we're not content inside of
Hmm.
ourselves, and if we can't laugh at ourselves, if we take ourselves too seriously, then we're always in a point of contention, and that doesn't make for a lot of room for grace. I know, because I was sort of that person for a while. Everything was so serious and had to be a certain way, and things had to appear a certain way and look a certain way, and there's no freedom in that. Emotional freedom is the reason we want to transform and evolve.
How did you learn to let go of all that?
It's called forgiveness. And it's called realizing you're doing it, and then you give yourself a break for doing it in the first place. you learn
Mm,
you get to look at yourself from a third point of view. I call it being consciously conscious of yourself. Like, it's like, and then there's a third point of view, consciously conscious of yourself being conscious. But when you get to start to look at yourself in the way that you operate in, I know Frank has ability to do this with suicidality. It's those thoughts in the back of your head that are always there. When you can look
mhm.
at that as a part of your life, and so you're constantly managing that and who you're being, and then you get to like work with yourself. Once you realize that ahead of your decisions, you get to slow down, and not be in reaction to your life. So when I started to think about my
Forgi-
thoughts, I was really young. I mean, no one teaches us when we're young that you could think
mhm.
about your thoughts. I mean, that would be a
Right.
great class in junior high school, right? You mean I don't have to believe what
It
I'm
would.
thinking? You mean
Forgiveness
what
is
she
act
says isn't true? You mean,
forgiveness forgiveness is actually a lot cheaper than lobotomy, which is what I thought you were gonna say. So,
that's a
thank
good
you.
joke.
You've just given me a lot.
That's a good joke.
I've been
But
doing
it's
this a while, Kelly.
yeah. Well, Kelly, when something
forgiveness
comes,
is cheaper than lobotomy. I'm going to use that one
so when something comes
someday.
up for me, some mistake I made,
Be my guest.
well, like when a mistake comes up in my head, I get reminded somehow of a mistake I made. I think to myself, do I really want to relitigate that right now? No,
No, right?
no. Why? I don't want to fight that again. I just let
Yeah.
just and it goes. It just it sort of denies the. Just not going to go down that path. I guess I'm saying.
You said it very clearly right there, not going down that path. I had to use this a lot, and it's something that I don't have to do now because I worked my way back to not even having to. Is you start to think about a choice and go, where does it lead? Like, I was 100% in the now moment, always guided by my, I'm going to do this. I just ran myself all over the place. I never thought about what I was doing. There is no tomorrow. There's only today. Every day's a party, da 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 da. And
Well,
you don't realize that there's just not a lot of thought in that. And if I knew what I know now, a lot of those things wouldn't happen because I didn't have the foresight to see where my choices were going to lead. And that's a really big part of mental health, is being able to slow down and go, where does this thought take me? Like, if I ride this thought to the end, where does that put me? And within like 60 seconds, probably 30, you can go, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Right? We know. We compare it to a past win or loss, and we're like, that's not where I want to go mind. Okay, monkey mind, get out of the way. I'm making this choice right now.
Yeah, that's what I say to myself. Do I really want to relitigate that? No.
Yeah, it was perfect the way you said that. I loved it. I have a paralegal degree, so I like legalese.
Relitigate. I know that's a
Michael,
good
Mike's
word. I'm gonna try
Googling
to use it
relitigate.
3 times to make it mine. I am.
Click your
Pre-litigate
heels
and
together 3 times.
relitigate. Um,
I
so
use a lot of
Kelli, where
legalese in
can
my I use
people
a lot of
find
legalese in
you?
my book, right? Because we really do our thoughts take up a lot of space, and I call it our venue. You guys will know, you work on venues, but it's like how much of it do we really, or is it just running on rote memory, right? We've got to go in there and be able to see
Hmm.
past what is just coming up as like a past version of ourselves reaction to what we're creating in real time. You can go really existential, or you can stay in the rudimentary root cause of self-love. And I'm able to take my clients anywhere because I've gone to this such far extreme, but I started in the same place anyone's going to start when they pick up this book, and they just want to love themselves or not hate themselves, or they want to change something about themselves. Like, this book works for the layman, and it works for someone who's been on the path
Hmm.
for a long time. And that's one of the beauties of it. And it's really amazing to me because I knew it was a gift when it was given to me. I used to not be able to take credit for it because I used to always say it was channeled, but I'm the one I'm channeling it through. So at some point you have to realize it is you. But it's just such a beautiful book, and it worked so well for me. And so I lived and grew out loud while I was taking myself apart, disheveling myself, reducing the rude to nothing so I could choose how I wanted to function in this life and in this place, in my mind and body. And I did that out loud for 7 years through social media, blogging. And so people started calling me and asking them to guide them through the processes that I was showing them how I was healing myself. And it created internal journeys. I always say internal journeys was 5 years into this journey. And it's when I kind of grew up, and internal narcissists grew up into internal journeys. And so we have this whole business platform. I teach a self-love mastery course, which is a super mental course. I led myself through it, not knowing that's what it was, but I always say my spirit did. And it's to live above the mind, to be conscious of yourself, making conscious choices. And I teach that, and I teach it for people who are masters that they can license and teach the process to others, because I think I was talking to Frank about this, and he talks about it a lot too, is that we need everyone to tell their story, and we need everyone out there sharing with their group, because if one person, you might save one person's life, the more you talk, or the more you share and live and grow out loud. And the more people we have doing this, there's so many people on planet Earth. There's not, if we had 20 Franks and 20 Mikes, that's not enough. Like, we need more people in their areas showing that there's no stigma or shame around mental health. There's no stigma or shame to, have your body or yourself changed mid-stay. There's no stigma from being addicted or having coping mechanisms of whatever they were. That's just part of life. and so when we share that it's just part of life, then people can and stop judging each other. And so the class that I teach, I really hope to inspire others to teach it and share it and use it in their inner circles, because the only way we heal the world is through one heart at a time. The world's created by every single one of us collectively. It doesn't exist without all of us. So the world doesn't need to be healed. We do.
So why no TED Talk yet,
Hmm.
Kelly J?
Come again?
Why no TED Talk yet?
Oh, it's so interesting you say that. Like, I started this journey so long ago, and I thought I'd love to do a TED Talk. And my clients have even nominated for me to do a TED Talk. They never call me back. So I don't know. Maybe I just haven't found the right way to share my story yet. But I would love to do it one day. I think that it would be fabulous. I just, that's why I did say reach out to you at one point, because I said, think I might need some help because, but yeah, I think TED Talk's definitely in my future. I just don't know when.
Okay, well, let me know. You know, I coach it.
I do. I know. I'm glad I have you.
And he's excellent at it.
Come again?
So he's excellent at it.
Yeah,
Where are you located? Like, where can people find you?
I'm located at
Internaljourneys.com.
Yep, at eternaljourneys.com is my business website. It talks about the processes I teach and guide. It has my latest blog and how you could buy the book. And so that's really great. But the original website is still up and it was started, the first blog I wrote. So the original blogs that walked my mind out of darkness are there. And all the blogging I did for 5 years. And there are some blogs in there that are just amazing. And so I'm working to try and get them into a second book. But yeah, internalnarcissist.com. But I also, YouTube is Kelli J. Wright. And there's all the videos that I shared that show me growing out loud, each transformation, and then other ones in between. And now with live stream, I teach Sundays called Self-Love Sunday. I've studied spirituality and mental health and self-love and became a teacher, a wisdom teacher. So I share there every Sunday.
Kelli, spell
That's
if you would,
awesome.
Narcissus.
That's awesome.
Narcissus. For everyone out there listening, Narcissus is a Greek demigod who drowned on his own reflection. And there's a lot of stories behind that and myths, and they all get changed in time like every story. But the preface is that he drowned on his own reflection because he was in love with himself. And there's really a deeper story. I always say my Narcissus wouldn't have drowned because he would have known his true worth came from his beauty inside of him, for who he was on the inside, not on the outside. And but I have come to learn that we all need to drown a little bit metaphorically to be reborn, because we're really rebirthing ourselves from our old consciousness into our new consciousness, which is a fear-based thinking into a love-based being. And so Narcissus has come along in the journey, and there's really a lot more to it that has to do with echo. And so it's really about our inner voice trying to lead us through our dark into the light. And I love sharing. I love helping people learn to love themselves and find ways to free themselves from the pain that's kept them trapped and from their tapping into their highest potential, maybe to become a comedian or have their own podcast, or, just share their story. Everyone's story is valid and worth hearing. We're all, I used to think this, and this is what drove me, is I wanted to have a life worth living and sharing with someone else. And who I was not capable of doing that. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it at the time, but I look back and I was selfish. I was one-sided. I couldn't give, even though I thought I was. There were so many parts of me that were closed that I didn't know. And I wouldn't have known that without this gift of this book and my own transformation and self-actualizing. So anybody who's in pain or feels trapped or can't let go of the past or can't let go of people, places, or things, it's just a part of your growing. And it's so amazing to realize that you can change that and move and grow through it. So I encourage anyone to go buy my book. It's Internal Journeys, A Spiritual Transformation, and you can find it on Amazon. And this is the first time I've ever done that.
I love that you just did that. Oh, Kelli, by the way, my wife just walked in, so she is still alive.
Yay!
So I
Thank
just
God.
I'm so happy.
So Kelli, is there an audio version of your?
Kelli is happy.
I do not have an audio version yet. I've been asked to do that many times, and I hope that's gonna. I pray that that's gonna happen sooner than later.
Well, listen, I'm calling before you do, because a lot of people are gonna tell you it's gonna cost a lot of money, and that's not true.
That's right. I believe you. I have all the equipment. It's sitting in the corner, and I don't know how to use it.
Well, and I can explain that, and I've got a great editor for $65 a finished hour.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. I will definitely ask you about that.
Yeah.
It's been, I won't name drop, but there are some people that have been following me for a while, and they're so busy, and they're like, when is it going to be out on audio? And I'm just, when God gives me the room and space. So I pray that this is the year that it comes out on audio, because I look forward to it. That you brought that up. I hope you don't mind me adding. When I teach my students, when I guide someone through a 90-day transformation, I read to them. I'm a sound healer. And so there's 13 blogs in a journey. That's why we work 13 weeks and it's 90 days. And so we meet twice a week, and we meet on Sundays or Mondays or any days that are back to back. And the first day, I read to you I read to you the lesson, and then you pick out the parts that stick out to you, and we have a spirit-led conversation and create a lesson for you to work on during the week. You journal and write during the week. You process and make sense of what your lesson is. You check in on that next that week later, 7 days later. We work on, look at your work, and if you graduated, we go to the next blog. If not, we slow down and we work on the parts where you're caught. It's a very detailed journey. I only work with 12 clients at a time because it's very deep and personal and opening work, and I never let go of your hand until you can get to where you want when you create your commitment statement for the journey. It's really powerful and transformative work.
Well, holler at me when you're ready to record I think you should record it. You should voice it.
I think you're right, and it's coming through that's probably where it's going next. So yeah, I definitely will reach out.
Okay.
Awesome. It
You
was
guys,
great
thank
to
you
have
so
you
much for
on.
having
Thank
me
you
on your
so
show.
much.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thanks for paying
Sorry
attention.
for all the technical difficulties.
Oh, I don't mind. Thank you guys. You're beautiful. I'm really happy to be here with you today.
Well, thanks, Kelly J.
Good luck. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.